Yo, what is going on, guys? Episode 61 of many. You've got just me today. I'm going to go over some stuff that I've changed in my life and some other takeaways I've got. So today's just kind of like a at you episode, some education, some thoughts to take home, chew on it a little bit. Before we start, hopefully you guys really enjoyed the Holden episode number 2 with him on it. That was released obviously on Tuesday of this week. Super excited to see what he does with the future, how he continues to grow as an individual. I know he listens to these episodes, so I just want to say I'm so proud of him. I'm so happy that he's not only changing his, diet, his fitness, his health journey, his potential outcome on, of life, his longevity and that kind of stuff, but he's also improving his educational aspects. He's reading more, he's taking care of himself, he's getting better sleep. Like, he's changing all of these habits, not just working out and getting steps and doing the bare minimum to lose some weight. He's really going at this, full steam ahead and figuring out where his weak spots are and how he can become better. So, Holden, you're doing great. I'm happy that we're working together, and hopefully all of you are enjoying kind of his story as well. So, any of you listening that have some questions, some thoughts, hey, Holden, how do you do this? How do you do that? Shoot us a message, let us know, and we'd love to answer that on the next episode with him. He will be on at the end of September. He's got some big goals to accomplish. So anyways, that is all I've got there. I would also like to invite you guys to follow me on social media before I get. Snapchat is Colton.Burt, Colton, period, Burt. Instagram, Facebook, ColtonBurt19, or just search me, Colton Burt. Last episode, if you guys listened to it, of course, if you did not listen to it, we did go Facebook Live for a little bit. That was kind of cool, something new. I always talk about getting more involved in social media and how we can do more. So I think Facebook Live, we're going to play around with a little bit more. Probably Instagram Live. I feel like it's super easy. We can set up, we can do our talks, we can do our conversations. Just one of those things you get comfortable with and you figure it out and keep going. So anyways, we will get right into it. I'm going to kind of not necessarily speed through, but I've got a list of things here. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of them. So something that I've been working on, if you've been following me and my personal journey and things I'm working on, self-reflection, right? How can I improve myself as an individual, as a leader, and how can I improve myself as a whole is something that I've been working on. So I've been challenging people to track their wins, find things they're grateful for, all of these different things on self-reflecting. At the end of the day, think about, well, what could have I done a little bit better today that, maybe as a conversation I had with a friend, family member, spouse, whatever, and maybe I could have come at it a little bit differently. Maybe I could have thought more logically and less emotionally. Maybe I could have waited a little bit longer before I, sent that text message, whatever, right? So I'm coaching on self-reflection. How do I look at what I did today, yesterday, last year versus this year? What can I take away from that? How can I improve myself for the future? And again, be the best version of myself, be 1% better. That's kind of the point of this. So again, for those of you who watch me, I talk about this a little bit. That's all I was trying to say. So something I want you guys to try to do, and some of you might be against AI, some of you might not be using AI, fine. If you don't want to use it, don't. But I want to let you in on something that I did, and I've been kind of peeling back a little bit further and digging a little bit deeper. So ask ChatGPT to ask you 10 deep questions that you don't know about yourself. And what it'll do is obviously prompt you 10 questions, and then what you're going to do is you're going to speak back to ChatGPT or Grok or whatever you want to do and answer the questions honestly. Some of them are very deep. Some of them are hard to answer. Some of them are about your legacy. What do you want to leave behind? What do you, and it's supposed to do that. If you don't think about those things will just creep up on you and you're not going to have an answer. You're not going to know why. And we're playing the long game, right? We're thinking about the long-term future. When you work out, when you eat healthy, it's not for today and tomorrow. It's really for, several years down the road, that end-of-life game plan, right? And I don't want to sound, I don't know the right word for this, but I mean, really, we have to be thinking about that portion of our life as well. So ask ChatGPT 10 deep questions that you didn't know about yourself. Answer the questions. And what ChatGPT is going to do is give you some good feedback. Or if you can't answer the question or you don't know how to answer the question, just tell ChatGPT, can you ask me this question a little bit differently? Or can you give me some more specifics, or maybe multiple choice or whatever, so you can kind of get your brain working on it. But what this does is it gives you a good outlook on some things you didn't really realize about yourself. And what I did was I did this 3 times over. So I answered 10 questions. I reviewed the answer, like I reviewed the output, and I said, can you ask me another 10 questions? Let's go even deeper. Answered those 10 questions, and same thing. I did it one more time. I actually think I'm in the middle of doing it my third time. I think I've got that kind of saved on my chat, on my, how it saves as a memory in ChatGPT. So I think I have it set there, and I just have to go answer the last set of questions one more time. And the reason I like to do this again is it just kind of gives you some, like, when people ask me about myself, sometimes I have a hard time answering, right? Like sometimes humans love talking about themselves. Like that's our favorite thing to talk about, but sometimes it's hard to be proud or give yourself the respect you deserve, or, really put, again, having a clear set vision and that legacy and like those things, they're just hard answers sometimes. And so I challenge you guys to do this. I think it's another good self-reflection tool. It's a good way to understand more about yourself. It'll help you understand why you maybe make the decisions that you make. It might make you realize why you have the friends that you have, or why you surround yourself with the people you surround yourself with. So try it out. Do what you want. I think it's a good little thing to do. And if you're wondering how you can self-reflect more, this is a good one. So let me see what I've got here for notes. I wrote this down. I don't know where I was going to go with this at the time of my notes. So for those of you listening, what I do is I go to either my personal, here's a little tip and trick for you guys too. If you have an iPhone, I'm sure you can do something on Android like this too. You can actually pin messages or pin conversations right to the top if you have an iPhone, and you hold on a text message, say you're texting your mom, you hold before you're in the text message area, you hold on her, and then it'll give you options, delete these messages, whatever. Pin it, and then she'll go to the top, and then she'll always be at the top, so you can always text her. Hopefully that makes sense if you're listening. But what I do is I actually pin a conversation with myself. So I can always send myself notes. I can always text myself things that I need to get done. And this allows me to get the thoughts out of my head and on paper so I don't forget them. So when I'm thinking, rolling around in bed at 8 o'clock, getting ready to go to bed, and I've got the best idea, or I can't forget to run payroll, or I can't forget to make a call, or whatever it is, I will text myself. So I've got these list of things here, and that's where I was going with that. So I had written down, understanding oneself is a power in itself, and sometimes it takes a lifetime to understand yourself. Sooner we can understand why we do what we do, we can make better decisions. So again, learning yourself, understanding yourself, wanting to be the best version of you, the logic versus emotion, all of these things tie in together. So the next thing I'd like to talk about, I'll leave that off there. We'll kind of go right into this. So something that I have implemented, and I'm very excited about, and if you have me on Snapchat, you'll also hear about this there. So I'll give you a little background. Basically, the last 4, 5, 6 weeks for me haven't been as routine as normal as far as my personal fitness and health goes. I've been working out, but I've been maybe cheating on my diet a little bit, or I was sick there for like a week and a half, as you guys know, or the people who have listened to all of my episodes know that I was sick for a while. Then I was recently in Orlando and Nashville and just bouncing around. So I never really got back into a routine of things. So what I decided to do last week was, I've got an empty notebook. I said, you know what? I'm going to start writing down 1 week in advance things that I want to accomplish for myself. This is not business goals. This is not money goals. This is just, what do I need to do? How many times this week do I need to accomplish X goal to become a better version of myself? And I'll actually pull up what my example was from last week. Here, give me 1 second. Well, I will give you guys this week's examples. I don't see my last week on my phone, but I do have this week. So what I did was, I had an empty notebook. I wrote the date and the time down, and I wrote down a bunch of things that I wanted to do better. And so a lot of these things, this is going to be a lot. So like if you've never done this before, or you don't have good habits or routines, I do not challenge you to write down 20 things. I wrote down several things because most of these were already routine habits of mine that I just needed to make sure that I was doing each and every day to kind of reinstill those habits and make sure I'm hitting my goals. And at the end of each week, if I accomplish all of these things, I can look back and be like, wow, I had a very productive week for myself, and I improved on myself, and I'm going in the right direction. So this kind of goes back to the mindset of win every day, 1% better, be the best you, right? So This week's goals, I just wrote down yesterday. I'm recording this on Monday, the 22nd. So Sunday, the 21st, I wrote down 9/21/25 at 7 p.m. And I reviewed last week's goals. And so here are the goals that I made. 2,000 calories per day is what I'm going to intake. So I'm going to stay very strict around that 2,000 calorie mark. I am going to have an eating window. So basically, I'm fasting every day until 10 a.m. And then my last meal has to happen before 5 p.m. Ideally, that last meal for me is happening between 3 and 4 p.m. It's just not possible every day. So I gave myself an eating window of 10 to 5. So that's typically like just 2 big meals each day. I also have a goal of only red meat, eggs, bacon, and then only salt. Salt is the only, I can't use pepper. I can't use any other seasoning. Salt is my only option. And that's like a true carnivore in quotations. Again, I'm not telling everybody to do this, but that is my goal for this week. And a lot of this is for like mental toughness, right? Can I, if I write it down, can I truly do it? I wrote down no alcohol Monday through Friday, which I don't drink Monday through Friday anyways, but last week's goal was no alcohol at all. So I know the Saturday I'm going to watch some live music. I know I'm going to have a couple beers. So I just made this as realistic as I could. No alcohol Monday through Friday, and I okayed Saturday. So I just know that it's kind of my plan. Strength train 5 times this week. Incline walk of 40 minutes. I want to do that 4 times this week. I want to have 14,000 steps per day. I want to do a 2-mile run 1 time. I want to do a bike ride 1 time. I would like to sauna 4 times this week. I would like to cold shower 4 times this week. I am reading a book, and one of my goals is to read 1 chapter of that book per day because it's one of those books where you can't read too many chapters at once. And then my other reading goal is 300 total pages this week. I have some online educational content that I watch, so I want to get 2 of those videos done this week. They're about 30 to 45 minutes, so just squeeze those in when I have time. And then I'm also trying to do daily educational content via Spotify. So instead of listening to music on my car rides, I'm trying to listen to more podcasts, maybe that bring me more educational stuff on business. In this case, I'm just rewatching back some clips from a mastermind group that I'm a part of, so I listen to that. I also have a goal of blue light blocker glasses, or red lights on at 7 p.m. So in my room, I'm sure I've told you guys, but all of my light bulbs in my room are like red light, so they're anti-blue light. So when I'm getting ready for bed, I just have my lights on as red, and so that allows me to fall asleep easier. I set a new goal: no phone after 7:50 p.m. I go to bed at 8:30, so that's 40 minutes prior to sleep. No snoozing my alarm, so as soon as my alarm goes off, I am up and at it. And then this is the best part. So at the end of each day, I have to log 3 wins, 3 things that happened throughout the day that were a good thing, a conversation I had, a good workout, whatever it is. I need to be more, hey, these are some good things that happened. And then also log at least 1 thing that I'm grateful for, whether that happened today, whether that was a year ago. Just working on that gratefulness, that gratitude mindset, right? So again, this is a long list of things that I'm trying to accomplish, but most of these things I'm already doing. I'm already reading, I'm already lifting, I'm already doing the sauna. I just want to put some measurables in place so I could get back in my good strict routine of self-care and taking care of myself. So I consider this obviously journaling. I'm not writing about my entire day at hand, but I am taking notes on things that I'm doing throughout the day. So I challenge you, because this has been a very powerful tool for me. If you have goals, write them down. When you put pen to paper and you are kind of signing off on that, it's going to hold you more accountable. It's going to say, well, I wrote it down, like I have to do it. If you just say it, hey, I want to run a marathon, or I want to, that might be a bad one, but I want to walk more this week. Like, that's not really saying anything, and there's no action steps there. So by writing this stuff down, I'm already committing to what I need to do. And again, mental toughness, working on, doing what you say you're going to do and following through. I think this is a very powerful tool. So pick a couple health and fitness goals, or maybe a reading goal. I don't expect everybody to be a power lifter or a strength trainer, but hey, I want to go to the gym 3 times. I want to go for a couple walks. I want to, whatever that may be, figure out what those are, and let's get those down on paper. So my intention is to do this every week. My main goals are Monday through Saturday. Sunday is going to be my rest day, the time where I just kind of sit back, relax, watch some football. I still get my 12 to 14,000 steps in on Friday, but I'm not pushing myself. I'm not doing my incline walk. I'm not doing a lift. I'm not going for a bike ride on Sunday. Sunday is a true rest day. Take it all in, eat my calories, and this time of year, just watch some football. So do with that. I think it's a very powerful tool. This is something I've been sharing with Holden. So Holden's been making some of these changes as well. Let me tell you some other things I've got going on. Pull it back up here. So one other tool that I did in my journal is I wrote down a future vision 1 year from now. And I think this is very powerful. And this is something I've actually not really done before. You think about your 3-year goals or your 5-year goals, and you write, you make your vision board, and that stuff's all great. But sometimes writing in a present tense from the future is very powerful. So what I did was I went 1 year out. It was like, September 17th or 18th or whatever day last week that I did this. And I wrote a whole page on what I saw. And, the business is growing, and I'm so thankful for this, and I'm grateful for that. And I had so much opportunity to travel with my friends and family. And this year was one for the books. And right, so I wrote all these things down in present tense from next year. So this was September 17th of 2026. And when you write it, you're not writing things you don't mean. Like, I'm not going to put unrealistic things like, when I was thinking about it, it was really my vision. It wasn't coming to me like, I'm going to buy a mansion in 1 year. Like, that wasn't even a thought that was crossing my mind. I thought of our business. I thought of our growth. I thought of, are we going to have more gyms? Are we going to have, am I going to be involved in other activities that I don't do now as far as like personal hobbies? Are there things I want to get into? So I wrote all of this stuff down, and I wrote it in like story form. So I was just writing basically a page straight. It wasn't bullet points. You can do it however you want, but think in present tense and the power of that. Like, I didn't realize the power of it until I did it. And I was like, wow, now I reread it, every couple, I read it a couple times since I wrote it last week. And that feeling of just, oh, wow, like that is, I can feel it. I can see it. So super cool. I challenge you guys to try that as well. Go out 1 year, 3 years. But I think 1 year is really good. Keep it realistic, but also set goals big enough that it's going to force you to change and become a better version of you. So this stuff kind of goes hand in hand with another one of my notes. And I'm not going to talk too much on this, but they call it the big mo, momentum. Once you get some of this stuff going, the momentum behind you, it's like, again, rolling a ball. If you ever push that rock, you're hiking somewhere and you push the rock and you watch it go down, 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 it's picking up speed, it's getting faster. So the law of momentum, or, the big mo, it's just so powerful. Once you start things going your way, once you get people on your team, you just kind of keep rolling. You keep going. So once you start instilling some of these new habits, once you start doing some of these, they seem so dumb, right? Oh, I'm not going to write about next year. I'm not going to set goals. I'm telling you, that was my mindset before. Everybody says set goals and do this stuff, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I've started doing them, and I've been able to accomplish more. I've been able to be a better version of myself, which I've said several times this episode, but it's what we preach. Once you start doing these things for yourself, it just continues to compound and continue to grow and continues moving in the right direction. So there will be setbacks, but momentum will keep you going. And once you start, it's hard to stop. So instill these habits. Think about, what can I do to change, and keep working on that. So another side note I had on here, as you change, so if you start implementing these things, and this is something I told Holden, and so that's why I wrote this down. As you change, you become a different person. You're leveling up. You're becoming a new version of you. And sometimes that might mean losing some people that are involved in your day-to-day life. And that's hard to think about. I'm not trying to scare you and say, don't become a better version of yourself. There's some people that, for example, when we had Brandon Peters on here, he quit drinking and people stopped asking him to hang out. People stopped, they were begging him to come out party. And he said, no, that's not me anymore. And before you know it, hey, he doesn't associate with those people as much anymore, Not that he wouldn't care about them or they wouldn't care about him if he was in a pinch, but your life changes with you. And as you level up, if not everybody wants to level up with you, depending on what areas you change and how you change, there might be some people that don't like seeing that. And you'll see the true colors of your real friends. There might be some people who are in quotations happy for you, but they might want to change themselves and they're not willing to take the right steps, and they might kind of despise of you for, becoming a better version of yourself because they're not willing to do it themselves. So just keep that in mind as you make progress, as you change, as you truly put yourself first. Some people will, the jealousy will set in, right? So just think about that. And, if you change someday and something happens, I told you so. So here's another one regarding, I don't know what this really fits into. Again, I just took a bunch of notes down. These are a bunch of things I wanted to share with you guys. Speaking things into existence. So this kind of goes hand in hand with like the future. I talked about the future truth, the future vision. The more you believe, that in that vision and you speak it into existence, that's a very positive way to do it. Now, I wrote down some things that, and this kind of goes, when I say that, you've had a bad, let me back up. When you are thinking logically versus emotionally, and if you have one bad thing that happens at work, and I've used this example several times, and then you go home and everything else at work was fine, but that one bad thing, just you're holding on to it. It's digging at you. You're going to tell everybody about that one bad thing, and you're not really going to talk about any of the good things, right? And so this is kind of in line with that, where you're kind of, because you're not letting it go and because you're continually thinking about it, you kind of let it ruin your entire day. And you're kind of speaking it into existence. Well, I've had such a bad day because, right? Oh, my day's horrible because. You wake up and something doesn't go your way, or your alarm pisses you off or whatever. Oh, today's going to suck. Today's going to be you're speaking that into existence, right? So my personal example, so I've got a bad back, and I try to catch myself because there's nothing I can do to change it. And obviously, if I always am talking about how bad my back hurts, and well, one, nobody would want to hang out with me because I would be complaining about it all the time because I do have a bad back and it always hurts. But I catch myself when I do say it once in a while. Like, there's certain things I can and can't do all the time because of my lower back pain, but not everybody needs to hear it. And so it's kind of like when dudes get sick and, oh, I'm so sick and I'm so sick, and they just kind of like dwell in it and they kind of mellow, like they're playing in it basically, right? They don't feel good, and you know how us men get. We're just kind of, we got to curl up in a ball, and we need somebody to get us everything, right? So I guess all I'm trying to say is what you put out there, is what you're going to get. So, oh, I'm not feeling well. I'm not feeling well. I'm not feeling well. Before you know it, you give yourself some kind of you're sick. You're not feeling well because you continue to speak on it, and you continue to, our mind is very powerful, right? So be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you're putting out there, and you speak things into existence. So you can use it as you can use it as a positive or a negative for you, right? You can have the worst day and you can tell everybody about it, and you can continue to have the worst day, or you can focus on the positives, and you can focus on the future, and you can focus on, how great other things were. So keep that in mind. The last thing, I've got a couple other things, but I think I'm going to save some of these for a future episode. Since we're talking mainly about mentality and future goals, I did finish the book 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. I recommend this book for everybody, although it's not meant for everybody, in a sense where not everybody wants to live a 10X life. Not everybody wants extreme things. Not everybody wants to, and that's fine. Not everybody, like, some people are just happy with the day-to-day, and like, that's great. That is totally fine. The message behind this book, if you haven't heard me say it on a prior episode, is when we think 2X, when we think doubling whatever we're trying to improve, and we're just trying to, the 2X mindset is basically, again, I think my example was, let's just say we're doing $100,000 in business and we want to go to $200,000 or $150,000, whatever. It doesn't need to be a direct double, but this is the 2X mindset. The 2X mindset is basically saying, I'm just going to work harder and I'm going to do more of what I've already been doing. And, it doesn't directly correlate because now you've worked 80 hours a week and you've made double the amount of money, but you've worked double the amount of time, right? So the 10X mindset gives you such a large goal that's unrealistic in most people's eyes. 3-year, 5-year goal, whatever it is, depending on how big your goal is. This 10x mindset kind of cuts through all the shit. It cuts through all of the stuff you're wasting your time on. It gets you out of the weeds, and you really focus on, what do I need to do today to accomplish this 10x goal? And I think that's just so important for every aspect, personal, business, whatever. The 10x versus 2x mindset has been a big game changer for me, and it just allows you to really think bigger. And I think that's a problem that a lot of us have. I think a lot of us are just thinking too small. We're not concerned about, tomorrow, the future. We're just here living and doing what we're doing. But this 10x mindset is so powerful. So I don't need to talk too much on it. I really wanted to recommend the book 10x is Easier Than 2x by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. I think there's a lot of things in there, even if you decide you don't want to go the 10x mindset, like just understanding the power it has. I think there's certain places in your life that you can utilize the 10x mindset versus the 2x mindset. So I rambled on about a bunch of stuff today. The episode was really about just some updates and some things that I've changed in my personal life. I'm trying to get back on track. I want you guys to be on track. I want you guys to fulfill your dreams. I want you guys, and when I say I want you to fulfill your dreams, you need to know what those dreams are, I guess, right? So that's like the biggest message is, if you don't have goals, or if you have goals or you have aspirations, but you don't really know what they are, well, someday this or someday that. You need to write these things down. You need to, you need to make sure that they're actionable, that you can actually attain these goals. And if you don't write them down, if you don't have a date you want to do them by, if you don't have specifics, or a bucket list, like you need measurables. You need to know what direction you're going and why and how. And there's a lot of people who just are floating around and they're just doing what they got to do. And that's fine if they enjoy that. But when I say I want you to fulfill your dreams, you need to know what your dreams are. I want you to go attack them. I want to give you all of the tools that I'm utilizing to level up myself. And I want to bring you guys with me. If there's things that you guys want to accomplish, I want to help you accomplish them. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope that you guys maybe take up journaling on your own. Even if you wrote down, even at the end of each day, just writing your wins and something you're grateful for, I think that mindset, it just unlocks a different kind of you, the happiness, the success mindset. Well, I didn't actually have that bad of a day. I did have some good things that happened, right? So getting that stuff out, putting that good out there, again, speaking things into existence, finding things that you're truly grateful for. I think that's something a lot of us take for granted. I don't think a lot of us understand how grateful we really should be, or really, I think expressing gratitude is very undervalued. And I think we need to really put that, first. I think when you wake up, think of something you're grateful for. When you go to bed, think of something you're grateful for. And, tell people that you're grateful for them and being able to spend the time with them, So I appreciate you guys tuning in. It's episode 61 of many. We're going to continue doing this. We're going to do every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm going to work on getting some more guests on here. So if you're listening and you're interested in being a guest, you've got a story you want to share, you've got something that you believe aligns with the Grizzly Life, and anybody's welcome. I would love for you to, I'm not going to take just anybody and everybody, but I want to hear what you'd like to talk about. And I'd like to get you on here. If you've got something cool, if you've got something different, if you've got some of your own habits that you want to share, if you've got some of your own tools that you utilize, if you run or operate a business, or you've got a role inside a business that you feel like would be beneficial to talk about, I'd love to do an interview. I'd love to get to know you. If you've overcome any crazy story, or if you've, severe weight loss, or anything in the mental health, physical, whatever it may be, let's get you on here. Let's talk about it. I want to give everybody that listens different perspectives and understanding. So I appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one.